Hi everyone, I'm Autumn Jerumbo, and this is today's quote of the day. Today we have an anonymous quote. I originally came across this quote in my young adult life. It was on a greeting card, and it was so beautiful. And I loved the quote so much that I bought the card and I put it in a frame, almost like a mantra. And this was when I was quite young. And the quote says, "When you come to the edge of all that you must believe in one of two things. There will be ground upon which to stand, or you will be given wings." And I've had an interesting relationship with this particular quote. So when I first came across it, I loved it. It provided me a sense of hope, and it even provided me a sense of comfort. It reminded me that things will be okay and transformation is possible. But if I'm honest, I had a very age-appropriate but innocent perspective with that quote. It did bring me comfort, but I hadn't yet experienced certain brutalities in life, certain aspects of life that include really dark, terrible things and the awful sides of human nature, and all kinds of things that led me to later on, for a period of time, question if I believed what that quote actually had to say. For a period of time, approximately, 12, 13 years ago, I put that quote away in a frame and I didn't think of it again for a long time. It just didn't resonate with me. It didn't connect. But then it started coming to mind again. The more and more I was working, I'm a former counselor and I worked for over a decade closely with the justice system, with primarily victims of crime as well as people at the end of their life. And I came to see, wow, this isn't an optimistic, sort of hopeful, bright-siding quote. Well, it is that, and I don't want to take that away. It is beautiful, it is hopeful. But I kind of was frustrated with maybe a bright-siding optimism and wanted to shoo it away. But what I came to see is, wait a second, this quote is beautiful because there's layers to its depth. It is literal. It is a literal aspect of when we come to the edge of what we know, we're going to have some options. There will be ground upon which to stand. And I will tell you what, I'm standing on very rocky ground right now. I'm out in the middle of the Arizona desert, and it is rocky and it is rough, and if I walk my dog too long, it hurts her claws. You would not want to pitch a tent and camp on this ground. It is not comfortable, but there is still ground to stand on. So there will be ground upon which to stand, or you will be given wings. And I thought about this as I was exploring sort of the entire continuum of pessimism, realism, and optimism. And I thought to myself, well, a realist or a pessimist could say, if you come to the edge, if you think of that as a cliff, there is the ground, and then there's the air in which you fall, potentially to your demise. But isn't that just another form of wings? And I think about that, how sometimes risks can be so significant that they truly are a life and death risk. Sometimes risks can be so transformational that even if they're not a life and death in the most literal sense risk, it can be the transformation of your identity, the ultimate change of what your life looks like. Or it does not have to be so big and huge. It doesn't have to be life-changing and earth-shattering or shaking. It can be a belief system. A belief system, you come to the edge of all that you know. Will you be okay? Will you be okay? And so my journey with this quote, you come to the edge of all that you know. You must believe in one of two things. There will be ground upon which to stand, or you will be given wings. You will be okay. And being okay doesn't look like comfort. It doesn't look even necessarily like happiness. But there is an opportunity to be okay in a radically different way. Bob and I talk a great deal about Viktor Frankl. He was an Austrian psychologist, or psychiatrist actually, and he survived the concentration camps while the rest of his family did not. And he did not go around sort of hopefully bright-siding things, saying life will be okay and it will be comfortable. No, he had a very serious demeanor saying, if you're still here, you still have work to do, and you have the opportunity through your perspective to make meaning of your time here. It was serious, it was sobering, but the underlying message was the same. If you're here, you have an opportunity. In order to integrate and really believe that, there needs to be a sense of letting go of our wish and preferences. Being human is so tricky because we have these needs. Those needs are aimed to keep us alive and give us a good quality of life. And then we have strategies to meet those needs. That is like what we do in our human experience. And our mind can get very fixated on a specific strategy, on a specific way to meet that need. We can say, I want this, I need this, and while that might be true to some degree, the edge that we often come to is that life says, we're going to do this radically different than you would like or you would prefer. And then there is this leap of faith. A lot of times this is when people have a crisis of faith because they say, how could I have experienced such atrocious adversity and suffering when I am trying to live a good life, I am doing my best, and tragedy or suffering or loss or heartbreak keep happening. And there is still magic in the darkness. The archetype of the phoenix comes to mind with this, or the archetype of Inanna, the goddess who basically had to descend down into the depths of hell, only to be stripped of everything she had and rise up again. That is also the archetype of the phoenix. There's many, many archetypes across the world that talk about this transformation. So this transformation doesn't mean that identity will stay solid. This transformation doesn't mean that we can find comfort in the brutalities of life, but we do have the opportunity to find our belief system, safety in our faith. We can experience a perspective that doesn't deny any of the harshness that there is out there, but still says, I will get up, I will show up. I don't even know how, I don't even know why. Maybe I'll take that step and find my wings and transform, and life will look so different than I ever thought it might ever look. Or I will have ground. There will be ground even if I don't like that ground. All right, folks, hope you got something out of that video. It is sort of a realist look at an otherwise optimistic quote. I do think the quote is beautiful. I have loved it over the years, and it is something that I was very happy to share with you today. If you got anything out of this quote, let us know what it was. Subscribe to our channel, and we will see you tomorrow on the next quote of the day. For deeper dives into psychology and philosophy, check out our YouTube channel, The Examine Life Daily, and check out our Nomadic YouTube channels. Bob is at Cheap RV Living, Autumn is at Autumn and Chloe, and our editor Robert is at Frontier Van Life.